So in this video, I'm going to talk through Intel and just show you my thinking to how I'd go about analyzing whether it's a buy or sell. Now, in the Stone Alpha dashboard, if you go over to stocks, you will see that, in fact, you'll see here in the stock report that Intel hasn't been recommended as a top 10. So it hasn't met the Stone Alpha criteria to be, I guess, inverted commas, worthy of coming into this list. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good buy. It's just that it hasn't hit the criteria. And you will see from last week on Thursday that Salesforce came out at 176, and now it's currently still recommended at $209. So, and you could go through the list here. The model and logic is going to change a little bit, so you will see some of these stock names change. But every month I run this screener and see what deals are out there. So I have a criteria that I work through to see, where are they in their PE history, where are they in their cash situation, what is their debt looking like. That then formulates into a strength weakness profile, and we'll get an understanding on the stock. So the question again with regards to Intel, why is it not here? Because it doesn't hit the criteria, but that we can do some analysis, and I'm going to walk through that to show you how I would go now about thinking about Intel, because obviously it's got potential, but we can't model potential that easily. I will be, please watch the channel, because I will be eventually talking about how to measure potential. So all those inefficient or the inefficiencies in information out there, how to then collate that and bring that into one model. So anyway, what you're going to do now is go to signals. So this is what I would do to see if Intel is worth buying today at 109. Okay. So I'd go into signals. You've got quite a few potential filters here on signals as well. But I'm going to look at Intel and think, okay, they are trading at 0.94 times their 20-day volume average. In other words, the volume over the last 20 days would have been X, and this is trading at 0.94 that, whatever that number is. Okay, so what it's saying is that volume is actually declining in Intel. Over history, it's probably had some spikes, but it's certainly coming down. So that's one thing that's slightly concerning at this price. The other thing is that we could see it's still plus 30% from its 50-day moving average on price. So that's another disconcerting thing, and it's even much higher. It's much higher compared to its 200-day moving average on price. So you've got high price, you've got declining volume, and what that translates into is that this price is not supported by volume, right? So we're going to do a bit more analysis on what that looks like. Okay, so I'd click into Intel just to get a quick understanding, a quick visual. So this isn't a charting tool. I didn't intend to make Stone Alpha a charting tool at all. I could have brought TradingView into this, but it's not a charting tool. It's just an indicative tool of where prices are at. So you can see all those numbers here, and you can see they're making a loss. So that's why the PE ratio is an issue. But that doesn't mean loss-making companies are bad. It means, all these big names are making losses. But that's the process, so we can't just dismiss it completely. Anyway, you can see, as I said here, you've got a declining volume profile. Yes, you've got a bit of a declining price profile as well, but the price is still relatively high compared to the volume if you look at it from a historical perspective. You could see here that based on its 50-day moving average. So over here I'm using 50 days. It is at 80. So it should be $80, and on its 200-day moving average basis, it's at $50. So you can see that's obviously increased from sort of 30, 40. Now we're at $50 on its 200-day moving average. So my price target on this right now is between $50 and $80, not $100. Because it hasn't got anything to offer other than NVDA flying around the company, which is obviously that's big news. But right now, as it stands on the declining profile, volume profile, the fact that we've got a 50-day moving average at 82 and a 200-day moving average at $49, that's going to say that, okay, we've got some mean reversion here. But now I want to see, how does that look in the actual volume profile itself. So I'm going to now open my interactive brokers up just to get Intel up here. So we've got Intel here. And this is on a daily chart. And what these bars here are telling me, it's telling me volume, okay, volume at certain prices. Now you'll see here we have a black line. This is called the point of control, where, you know, there is an active amount of buyers and sellers negotiating price over here at sort of $47. So this is a big number. $47 then ties back into what I said about kind of $50 to $80, right? Whatever that number was. But this shows you that that's the point of control, okay? Now, crucially, this is something. Now, what I'll do is take this down to a 4-hour chart just to tidy up and just see if that kind of point of control is still around there. So on a 4-hour basis, the point of control is at $66. Okay, so we know that on a daily basis, it's down here at sort of $47.50. On a 4-hour basis, the point of control is at $66. Now we know that there is going to be some activity around $60, $70, further tying into the case that this has more downward potential than we first expected. Now here is the crucial thing that I'm going to say. Can you see these low volume nodes over here at 101, at 106? These we call air pockets, okay? And they change because once the price hits there, the volume profiles start to change. We can only know that at the moment it happens. But what we're saying here is that the price is likely to fall straight through that and straight through this, because it's like turbulence in an aircraft. You know, it's balancing on something and then eventually there's an air pocket and it kind of sinks, right? So that's the same thing with the price over here. We would expect this to eventually come through and then start dropping to 101. And it depends if there's buy-sell activity here, if NVIDIA start throwing a few more sweets out there about Intel and saying, okay, hey, we like this, we like that, we're getting in the PC market or whatever it is, that will then buoy the price. But for now, we can see there's a lot of downward pressure. We have got these air pockets now, so you've got that potential for this to keep coming down. So this is the crucial price right now. We so happen to be at that crucial price point, 109. Where the most activity is, and we see if we start seeing 105, and if we get some acceptance of price at 105, then you could quickly expect it to come down to 101 and so on. That's what the map is saying to me. All right, that doesn't mean that the map is you still need to understand the direction you're going into, but the map is saying, okay, this is what it's looking like for Intel. So final conclusion here is that this is going to keep dropping to 101 and so on. There is a lot of downside pressure. There's falling volume. So I'm more inclined to say that this is likely to fall, and we have potential. Look, we have an air pocket here at 78, 76. So there is huge potential for this to fall considerably. Will it bring the market down with it? I doubt it, but I think the big thing here is that it was overdone. It was overdone. So I would expect this to eventually come back down to these kind of $80 levels, right? I want to just see something else here. Now, this is more for my thinking than anything else, but if I go to the 30-minute chart and just look at the volume profiles here, see, yeah, look, even on a 30-minute basis, on a short-term basis, we could see there is, you see these spikes, these are limit orders being taken out. You know, so it spikes up, gives you a false impression, but just comes straight back down. I think, look at this, it's likely to come down to 102 on a 30-minute basis. So the market's not even opened yet, but I wonder how that's going to open and what we end up seeing, okay? So I hope the video is useful, and I'll be in touch with any follow-up on this.